Good afternoon and welcome to the Sheriff's Live Internet Call-In Show. I'm Sheriff Mike Williams and looking forward to your calls today. Before we get started, I want to tell you that this show is live on the internet. You can watch it at JAXSHERIFF.org, and we'll be taking calls at 904-630-1832. So 904-630-1832. We're also taking tweets and Facebook posts that generate questions, and we'll be glad to answer those as you call in. We'll also be periscoping the show live, and Twitter followers can watch live, and the show will also be, again, posted at JAXSHERIFF.org after the show is over. So we're planning for 30 minutes, and there's a lot of things to discuss, and a lot of questions I'm sure to answer. So with that, we can go to some of our questions that we have.
We have someone from Facebook who, well, we're having a lot of people write in on Facebook about the Lonzie Barton case, and a lot of asking very specific details. And we have been very transparent in the information we've given. But talk about why we can't give all those specific details and how it could hinder a case.
Right. You know, anytime that we are conducting a criminal investigation, we try to share as much information as we can with the public, obviously to help us develop more tips and to help us develop more information about our case that will ultimately help us to prosecute the case, which is the goal, and which is what we're trying to accomplish here. In this particular case, we did release a lot of information, again, to generate tips and to get the public engaged with us in the conversation, and to, again, we found a great video knocking on someone's door, and we needed that information, to help us build our case. But in doing that, we've got to be careful in the type of information that we release about the case. We can actually jeopardize the prosecution for releasing too much information. It can hurt a case, 100 different ways. So a lot of the specific information that people call and ask for, we cannot release because they are really details that potentially maybe only a suspect and us as law enforcement know. And now if the rest of the community were to know that information, we couldn't really use that in the case. So that's one example of how that can really hinder a case. Again, we try to be as transparent as we can while weighing the fact that, again, we've got to protect the integrity of the investigations we work. And ultimately, at the end of the day, our responsibility is to the victim and to the victim's family, and to make sure that we get that victim some justice in the case, and that's our primary goal. So, as much as we would like to be able to share maybe some additional information, we're not able to do that. There are different points in the case where more information comes out through the legal process where it becomes appropriate for that information to be released, or it can be released at that point. So there may be some details, and will be some details of this case that you hear further down the line. But again, that's because it's gone through a certain piece of the court protocol, and it's now able to be released type deal. So that's really the story here, is the fact that we've got to protect the integrity of investigations, and we'll always work hard to do that.
Debbie Bill Jones wrote into Facebook, and she says she has a question for you. Can or do the citizen groups that give so much to the community, like Mad Dads, get funding to further the good the city does, and how would they go about doing that?
Well, there's a lot of opportunities for them to get funding in different places, and it may not just be from the city, but in terms of what they do with the city has public service grants that people can apply for. There's a process online with the city. You can reach out to your council person. They can walk you through that process, and a lot of those organizations do really do some great work for the city, and so there's always opportunities there. There's not really a specific block of grants for that, but again, your council people can direct you more specifically into what specific grants may be available for organizations like that. And again, Mad Dads in particular is a great partner with us, and they do a fantastic job for this community, and we're lucky to have them out there helping us every day.
Once again, I want to tell everybody 630-1832 is the number to call in if you have any questions for the sheriff. We have another question from Devin Householder, who wrote into Facebook asking about the heroin epidemic. Rather than imprison the substance abusers, their idea is to send them to rehab. The feds have launched a new plan. So my question is, in what way do you find this beneficial to the epidemic? And what steps do we do at JSO to counteract this drug scene in our jurisdiction?
Well, we have a very successful in-jail drug treatment program in our pretrial detention facility here at JSO. So in a lot of these cases, you're exactly right. Treatment is the best method for these individuals. But as you know, with any treatment, those individuals have to be ready, service ready, if you will, to receive that treatment. So and a lot of times that comes after an arrest. So any time that we have some again, not just here with us, but any part of the country. And in jail drug treatment program, they have a lot of success rates with those as well. So again, if the individual is not arrested and doesn't have any contact, with law enforcement, there are a lot of good treatment programs around the city that they can leverage as well. So that particular epidemic that you're talking about is really a spinoff from what we dealt with for many years in the with the pill mills and people getting addicted to the opiate type medications that they were receiving from the pill mills. We did a good job in law enforcement of shutting that down. Now that heroin drug, if you will, has taken the place of a lot of that. So we're fighting that epidemic now as well. And it's again, it's part of the the struggle that we face in having a victory in one part in terms of battling illegal drugs, and it really kind of maybe opening the door for something else. So it's something that we're focused on and we're looking at every day. But obviously, any time that someone who's addicted to drugs can get the help they need, it keeps them out of our system, which is ultimately what we want.
Someone on Periscope has asked, do we test officers for narcotics use?
We do. We test officers in a random drug screening process that we have that's ever ongoing in the agency. So we can test them at different parts of their career. If they move into an area where they have access to narcotics, the property room, or they're working in again as a narcotics detective. Aside from the random screenings, we can test them, periodically based on their assignment as well. So we do have a very proactive drug screening program here at JSO.
Harley Man on Periscope is asking, being a new sheriff, how do you plan to counteract drugs in Jacksonville?
During the campaign, we talked a lot about the violence in our city, and I'm a firm believer that a lot of the violence that you see in our community is really driven by the drug trade. So we've got a lot of initiatives, things that we've set up, again, from day one that we're working on, things that you've seen here in the past. We do a lot of proactive narcotics work in our community. We're going to continue to do that, and we're building some additional initiatives, again, to target violent crime in this community. And because we're targeting violent crime, it will involve a focus on the drug trade. So we're going to continue to work on that. It is a top priority for me and our administration and our agency, and we're going to work hard on it every day.
Just today, we had a leadership group come to Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and you spoke to them directly. And why don't you talk a little bit about exactly what that was and how important it is to this city to reach out to those awesome young boys?
Today we sponsored this was our day, if you will, our tour of Leadership JAX Week, or Leadership Week for young men. That was really created by John Guns just a few short months ago. It's a kickoff for the school year for 100 young boys and young men to come into JSO. They're having an opportunity to sit down and talk with me and take a tour of our building. During this week, they've also met with Daniel Davis, the president of the chamber. They'll meet with the mayor tomorrow. They're, I think, as we speak, down at the stadium, meeting with some of the Jaguar players and having lunch at the stadium. So an exciting time for those young men, and it was a great opportunity for us to be able to be involved. What that is again a great piece of the puzzle. When you talk about fighting crime in any community, you talk about prevention, intervention, and enforcement. Many times when you see the sheriff or you see a law enforcement officer, the thought immediately goes to enforcement, and it's an important piece of the puzzle. However, when you can work to prevent crimes and prevent young men and women and boys and girls from getting engaged in criminal activity, you keep them off a street corner, you keep them from ever meeting that gang member or drug dealer. It's going to help this community in the long run, help them be productive citizens, and again, help us get ahead of our violent crime issues. So we continue to engage the community in a variety of areas in terms of prevention. We started in July, with the Sheriff's Walk in Eureka Gardens. It's an area that's had historically been troubled with violent crime and drug activity. The area has gotten better in the last few years. However, it's something that we still focus on over there. So we spent time with the residents in Eureka Garden and having a Sheriff's Walk there. Had a great response. We have a Sheriff's Walk coming up Saturday. This Sheriff's Walk will be in the Grand Park area. We're going to meet at 10:30 at the First Chronicles Baptist Church at 2559 West 30th Street, and we're going to walk Grand Park and meet the citizens out there and listen to their concerns and ask them how we can help. So we think it's important. I think it's important that we continue to engage with the community and be involved in those prevention efforts. And today, back to the leadership group today, was a great example of that. I'm going to thank Bishop John Guns for creating that initiative and allowing us to be a part of it.
ZT Pritt from Periscope asks, is open carry allowed in Jacksonville, and what are your personal thoughts on it?
Open carry is allowed in Jacksonville like it is with any state law as long as you are coming and going from hunting or fishing. Beyond that, open carry is not allowed. So I am a strong Second Amendment advocate. I can tell you that. Obviously a gun owner, have been for many years. I am really pro-responsible gun ownership. However, I'm not for open carry. I think in an environment that we live in today in Jacksonville, in a city like Jacksonville, open carry can create problems for law enforcement. It can be a challenge for us. I would feel differently if we lived in Montana or we were in Wyoming, so to speak, and where you had, again, lots of wide open spaces and wearing a gun was part of the day-to-day activity, maybe working on a farm or working at a cattle ranch. Again, no issues with the firearm itself, but the open carry, again, creates special and very unique issues for law enforcement. I am not for expanding open carry. Again, I am a Second Amendment advocate. I am a responsible gun owner, as most people are, and really encourage people to get involved in that process. But open carry to me is a step beyond that.
Hope for Ward has a question from Periscope. We have a lot of Periscope users on right now.
Good.
She wants to know, what are your thoughts on doctors prescribing too many pain pills to people, and what can be done about it?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, so we had a large prescription pill problem in our community up until about 2012. We were able to work with the legislature and pass some laws that shut down the pill mills and the clinics that were working here that were prescribing too many medications. In some instances, 200 and 300 pills to one individual. So we were able, again, to work proactively with the legislature and lots of our state and federal partners, that work with us every day in fighting the drug trade in our community. And in closing those pill mills, we were successful in, again, stopping that really wide open flow of prescription drugs to the streets. We still have some challenges there. We're still working on that. But that was a major victory, for us in terms of battling that particular problem. So, we'll continue to look at that. We continue to have a squad of officers that work specifically on the pill issues in our community. And again, it's something that we're continuing to be focused on.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but a lot of people are asking, what's your political view on the movie Straight Outta Compton? Are you aware of that new movie that's been released?
I am, and I don't really have a political view on the movie.
That's what they're asking.
Yeah. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. I can't really comment on it, but I probably will see it at some point. So.
Mama Ack says, what do we do in Jacksonville to prevent incidents like Ferguson from happening?
I think one of the best things you can do in any community, not just Jacksonville, but any community, to prevent issues like you have in Ferguson and Baltimore, is to continue to engage with the community and build relationships in the community. I tell people all the time, it's great for me to have relationships, with community leaders all around the city, and that'll happen. That's going to happen. But it's better for you to have a relationship with a police officer that works in your neighborhood. That relationship with that police officer in that neighborhood, multiplied by 100 times or 1,000 times, is what prevents issues like you have in Ferguson, like you have in Baltimore. You again, without getting into a whole lot of detail about those particular cases, I think you have, in instances like that, you can have a law enforcement agency, and you do have, in some of those cases, agencies that have lost touch with their community. And when that happens, there's always that risk. It's nothing that you ever achieve. It's something that you work on every day. But I think in focusing on building those relationships, being open and honest and transparent, and having open dialogue with the community will prevent those type of things from happening.
Okay, we have AJ from Mad Dad's calling in, and we're going to see if this call is going to come through. It's our first call for the day. We're a little excited. He's sending it now. He wants to talk about tips and what people in the community can do. Oh, it appears he just hung up. He hung up.
So I know AJ, and if he wants to talk about tips and what people in the community can do, I can. If he calls back, let him chime in. We hear a lot of information. You hear a lot of people talking every day about people not talking to the police and not sharing information with us, and that's true to a certain extent. But I can tell you that every day, these phones down here at the Police Memorial Building are ringing with people giving us tips and sharing information with us. We have a great partner in Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers is the entity that really provides the anonymous, allows you to make an anonymous tip and provides you a reward for your information if that information leads to an arrest. The Crime Stoppers number is 1-866-845-TIPS, 1-866-845-TIPS, 8477, those last four numbers. If you have information on any crime, you can again, report that to Crime Stoppers, and we again, they're a great partner with us. We coordinate with them and make sure that that tip remains anonymous first of all, and then if it leads to an arrest, you are rewarded for that information. So, Crime Stoppers has been a great partner for us for many years in this community. They are a great tool for us to help us again, reach out to the community who may want to remain anonymous and share information with us. And again, we've got lots of success stories where Crime Stoppers has been involved. They were really heavily involved in an initiative that we continue to this day called the Gun Bounty Program. And again, back to the violence issue that we have in the city, that we're it has continued to be a challenge for us. For many years, we started the Gun Bounty Program several years back. The Gun Bounty Program basically allows you to report anonymously anyone who is carrying a gun illegally. And if that leads to the arrest and recovery of that firearm, then you receive $1,000 for that tip. So it's a great way for us to receive that information and to partner with Crime Stoppers. We've been very successful with that. I think we're at probably close to 400 tips in that area that have led to arrest and paying out of a reward. So again, a good example of how we partner with Crime Stoppers. But partnering with the community and having them share information with us is how we solve crimes. And we're very successful in doing that in Jacksonville. We solve crimes that are, above or in some cases double digits above the national average here. I'm proud of our police officers and our detectives. They do a great job. But without the cooperation of the community, we wouldn't be where we are in that area.
Tam from Periscope has a question about the minority cops. What's the percentage of minority cops in Jacksonville?
If by minority you mean African American, we are over 30% with the entire agency in African American. We have roughly 20% of our agency are women, and we've got a number of nationalities that are represented in our agency. So diversity is very important to us. I think any agency should be reflective of the community that they serve, and we do that here at JSO.
Maddie M. Periscope sent in a question. Is PTSD services offered to officers?
Yes, it is. And the short answer is yes. We have a number of avenues where officers can, just look for normal stress relief. There's, it's something as simple as a roll call training with your supervisor that talks about stress relief and things that you can do in those areas. We have programs that built here at JSO that allow officers to reach out, again, anonymously without the agency knowing for assistance if they need it in several areas. So, it's an issue that's really important for law enforcement around the country, and it's, typically officers who have stress or dealing with issues that way can tend to get into alcoholism, things that even as heavy as suicide sometimes. So, I think it's an issue that we talk about a lot in law enforcement. We've done a lot at JSO to make sure that officers have, the necessary outlet to be able to reach out and talk about some of the issues that may be bothering them. So it's something we talk about quite frequently here at JSO.
Alumnus Maiden from Periscope has a question. He doesn't understand why sheriff is on one side of the police car and police is on the other.
Well, it's unique. We're one of, I think, 10 cities in the country that are consolidated cities. So our county and our city are one and the same entity. So, normally if you go to Orlando, for example, you'll see the Orange County Sheriff's Office, which is, obviously responsible for Orange County, and you'll see the Orlando Police Department. They are two completely separate agencies. So they have two separate budgets. They have two separate leaders of those organizations. Sometimes you have overlap in some of the things that you spend money on in a county like that. For Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the Jacksonville Police Department are really one and the same. We are the same agency. So it's a cost savings for the community. It's an efficiency that I think that we benefit from here in Jacksonville, especially in the area of law enforcement being consolidated, and it's a benefit to the citizens.
Donnell has a question, a personal one, but he wants to know why you became a cop.
Wow. So I talked about that today with the leadership group. So, many years ago, I had an opportunity. My father was a police officer here at JSO, and I had an opportunity many years ago to obviously watch his career, see it develop over the years. And, after leaving the military, I had an opportunity to come to the police academy. And I think the influence of, seeing my father's career for so many years obviously led me in that direction. And from the first day of the police academy, I knew I was going to love this career, and I have for 25 years. So, I think obviously just personal influence has really led me in that direction.
That's awesome. Max on Periscope has a question. Why do you need a bachelor's degree to become the police?
Well, that's a good question. I think, anytime, a bachelor's degree at least shows a level of dedication to your education and completing tasks and that type of thing. So we are in the process of kind of evaluating where we are in JSO in terms of the pool of people that we hire from. I personally believe that we can miss the boat on some really qualified candidates with some great military experience or prior law enforcement experience. We miss those people because they may not have that 4-year degree. So we're in the process of looking at that now, and we'll have something probably in the next couple of months prepared, to address really a very large group of officers that we will hire in the next 20 months. We have about 200 officers that we'll hire in the next 20 months. Again, not new positions. We've got a number of officers that are leaving our agency because of the drop plan. It's time for them to retire. So the turnover in the next 2 years is going to be significant. So we've got to really focus on hiring a good group of people. So I think in terms of what we were talking about, expanding that pool to allow military and prior law enforcement people to be evaluated. Again, not lowering the standard, so to speak, but just broadening the pool that we look at. I think we'll have an opportunity to pick some great candidates from pools like that.
And that was another question, if any changes were forthcoming, but you just answered that one. Car Joe Michael simply put, body cameras, yes or no?
Body cameras, short answer, sure. Long answer is there are a lot of issues surrounding cameras. Really, the biggest now, the legislature recently addressed some of those and got the privacy issue that was really a challenge for a lot of law enforcement agencies. In this conversation, the legislature addressed that, got that fixed. Now it's cost. I mean, cost for an agency our size would be significant, millions of dollars. When you look around the country at agencies who have completely, the entire agency has gone to body cameras, those are relatively small law enforcement agencies, small police departments. We have 1,600 sworn police officers here, and hopefully growing over the next few years. So we've got to be able to commit to building a program and maintaining and sustaining a program, and that takes dollars. So before we do that, we've got to make sure that we've got that infrastructure and that funding in place to do something like that.
Simone states, do you still truly believe in the right to bear arms?
Absolutely, I believe in the right to bear arms. I think it's a great part of our country's history, and absolutely believe in it. Again, I'm a strong Second Amendment advocate and a gun owner, and again, I just think that I think more of us, more gun owners in this community, need to really pay attention and focus on responsible gun ownership. We have an issue in Jacksonville today. We are having firearms stolen out of unlocked vehicles at alarming rates. So these are vehicles that, again, it's not a theft in the sense somebody's breaking a window and stealing a gun, but people are leaving guns on back seats and in floorboards, and this has nothing to do with gun ownership. This has to do, or with the Second Amendment, this has to do with responsible gun ownership. So, I think it's important for us to as responsible gun owners, to remind people that, look, we've got to be just that, responsible in our gun ownership and responsible with that. But I absolutely am in support of the right to bear arms. Absolutely.
Maddie has a question and asks, are you familiar with the Cadet Program at FSCJ?
Yes.
And if you are, what's your opinion on it?
I think it's a good program. I've talked to Director Lewis. Rick Lewis and I know each other. We worked together for many years here at JSO. And I think the Cadet Program is a good thing. More programs like that will really do well for us in terms of providing a baseline of training for people coming on to JSO. And it's a big benefit for us. Absolutely.
That's all we have. Is there anything you want to talk about, Sheriff?
No, I tell you what, I do want to remind everybody again that we have a Sheriff's Walk coming up in Zone 5, which is the Grand Park area for us. We'll start at 10:30 on Saturday morning. It's going to be at the First Chronicles Baptist Church, 2559 West 30th Street. We're going to take that opportunity that morning to walk Grand Park and meet the citizens, much like we did in Eureka Gardens a few weeks ago. And we're going to continue to do that. I want to really focus on the areas where I feel like are most challenged and that need our help. So we're going to do that in the next several months and continue to reach out and engage the community in those areas. And Let's see if we've got anything else here. So we talked about Leadership Week. Good opportunity for us today. I really enjoyed that today. We've got a couple things just to mention as we close. We have launched our Jack Sheriff's Office mobile app. Check that out. You can go on either Android or Apple and to the App Store and just search Jack Sheriff, and you'll find the mobile app there. There's a variety of tools on that mobile app that will help you connect with us and really help us share information with you. As always, our website, JAXSHERIFF.org, it has tons of information and a lot of things that we talk about every day. We post and follow up with on the website. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the mobile app, the mobile traffic, Periscope, all those things we use, again, to reach out and leverage social media to engage the community. So hopefully you'll take advantage of all of those. And with that,
thank you for sharing the last 30 minutes with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.